King Vikramaditya and the Tantric. Many years ago, a king called Vikramaditya lived in India. He was known for his wisdom and kindness, but people talked about his bravery. One day, in the court of the king, a strange tantric came and presented him with a fruit. The king accepted the fruit. The strange tantric asked the king to keep the fruit in his treasury. The tantric again came to the king's court the next day and again presented a fruit. This continued for many years until one day the treasurer came to the court, told the king about a mysterious happening. The king left the court immediately and rushed to his treasury. The fruits that the tantric had been presenting to the king over the years had all turned into precious stones. The king and his ministers were overjoyed. They could not believe their eyes. The next day, when the tantric arrived, the king stood from his throne and bowed to him with respect and said, "O great saint, it is indeed an honor that my court should be graced with your presence. What can I do in return for your blessings?" The tantric said, "My blessing shall always be with you, wise king. But there is something that I must ask you to do." The great king had never turned away anyone who came to his court seeking his help. He agreed to fulfill the tantric's wish. The tantric said, "Deep in the forest, where most people fear to go, there is a peepal tree on which hangs the body of a dead man. You must bring me that dead body. I have to offer that corpse to the goddess for her blessings. You must go to the forest alone on the next new moon night." The king started for the Pandabarania forest at once. As directed by the tantric, he began looking for the peepal tree that stood in the center of the forest. It was dark inside the forest, but Vikramaditya was brave. He moved on. The night set in, and there was no moon in the sky. The king approached the peepal tree with sword in his hand. Skulls, skeletons, and bones were scattered on the ground under the tree. From a distance, the king saw the dead body. It was thin and white as chalk and hung upside down from a branch. The king climbed the tree. With great effort, he dragged the corpse through the branches and climbed down from the tree. He then put the corpse around his shoulders and began walking towards home. Suddenly, the dead body began laughing. It was Ghost. The king was shocked, but he was not scared. He calmly continued his journey. The ghost asked, "Who are you?" The king replied, "I'm King Vikramaditya." He asked the ghost, "Who are you?" The ghost said, "I am Betaal." "Where are you taking me?" The king told Betaal about the tantric and how he had requested the king to bring Betaal to him. Betaal did not seem surprised. He said, "He is a fraud. I was born on the same day and at the same hour as the tantric. If the tantric gets me, he will use me to increase his powers, and then he will kill you to increase his powers further." The king was in distress. "I have already promised the tantric that I would bring you to him. It would not be fair if I failed. I must carry you to him even if my life is at stake," he said. Betaal was impressed with the king. He decided to help him. He said, "All right then, I will tell you a story at the end of which I will ask you a question. If your answer is wrong, I will come with you. But if you answer it correctly, I will fly back to the tree. However, if you choose to be silent, your head will burst into flames. Do you agree?" Betaal knew that the wise king will always know the answer and he will never lie. Vikramaditya had no choice but to agree. Betaal began to tell a story.